course, we talked a lot about paying attention to your surroundings and the energy. And some of the questions that came back were around the different types of guides that are around us. And what do they mean? And how do we prepare ourselves to actually raise our vibrations so that we can be present and actually communicate with them?
Welcome, everyone. How to listen to different spirit guides and how to communicate with them. Welcome again, everyone. My name's Heather.
Hi, I'm Dana. So happy to be here. Hi, Paul. We're going to have another great conversation today.
We are. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
This is wonderful. So we're talking all about guides. We had a lot of people who were reaching out saying, how do you communicate more? And that was one of our popular videos as well. So why not continue the conversation? I don't think it's a conversation that should ever end, really.
That's right. Yeah. No, we had lots of interest and lots of comments and questions around signs and symbols or synchronicities that happen on a daily basis. And we talked a lot about paying attention to your surroundings and the energy. And some of the questions that came back were around the different types of guides that are around us. And what do they mean? And how do we prepare ourselves to actually raise our vibrations so that we can be present and actually communicate with them? So we thought we'd take some time today to sort of talk about the different types of guides that are around us, and the fact that some of them do change as we mature and we grow, and other ones stick around and have contracted with our soul for our lifetime and multiple lifetimes in that case. So so there's different types of guides. So thinking about and angels and guides in our life. So of course, lots of people know about the archangels, and there are, for the most part, 7 of them that people normally talk about. So we did have a chat a while ago about Archangel Raphael, who's the angel of healing. So of course, potentially given the situation that you're in, they're there, and all you need to do, of course, is ask, pray. So you either set your intention or ask your intention out loud or in your mind, and they will be around, obviously, to help you. And the interesting part about your spiritual journey, the more you open up and the more you sort of grow in your spiritual senses and you grow your empathy, you'll actually begin to really pick up on that purity or that higher level of energy when they do come around. You'll feel it when they come into your space in the physical world. Of course, as humans, we all have guardian angels, and those guardian angels have contracted with our soul and spend multiple lifetimes with us. They do not change. They're along for the ride. And as my mother used to always say to me, make sure you don't drive faster than your guardian angel can fly. So I always chuckled about that. But in this particular instance, your guardian angel is always there, and they devote their entire time to you and your lifetime and travel with you. So that one does not change at all. Then, think about some of the indigenous belief systems or other belief systems, and you often see totem poles. And totem poles are representation of different animals. And animals, of course, are, we've talked about dog. You spell dog backwards and you've got God. And animals are really a representation and a reminder to us on the earth plane about unconditional love and acceptance, especially some of the domestic animals like a dog. So spirit animals and pets are also part of that realm and will come around and be present with you. So as an example, the raven is interesting. If you go back into ancient history before the Council of Nicaea, the raven was actually the symbol of God. The black bird was the symbol of God. And of course, now when you kind of see some of the movies today, the raven is sort of projected as, sort of the darkness or potentially evil. But actually, in reality, it's the symbol of God. However, after the Council of Nicaea and the birth of Christianity, they didn't like the black symbol and the black bird, so they chose the dove, because white is purity in many regards. So spirit animals are there, and they do come and go. And each animal has an energy and also a representation. So a cardinal is another good example. Seeing a red cardinal is very much a symbol of God and mother, female energy. So there's another one. So if you're looking out in your backyard doing dishes, like I used to, looking out my window and you see all these animals, they come around and there is messages attached to each and every one of them.
Can I tell a little story?
Of course.
When I was a little girl, I used to stand out and wait for the bus every morning. And one morning, all of a sudden, I see this dog trotting up the road, coming right at me. And I'm just sitting on the stone thinking, oh boy, there's a dog that I don't know coming up. He comes up, walks really slowly to me, comes and stands in front of me. I had some popcorn in my lunch, so I was giving him some popcorn as we were going on. He sat down, he stayed there. I go to school, I come back, he's still sitting there. He's still sitting there, and all of a sudden I go walking up to the house and I have this dog trailing me up to the house, and my mom looks and she's like, and we have a new dog? And I'm like, apparently. So this dog stayed for maybe like 5 or 6 weeks. I don't know. I can't really remember. And he would take the lead shanks for the horses. He would help us round the horses up and bring the horses in. And he would always walk by me. He was sweet as could be, never said a word, never barked, never anything. And then one day he just left. And we never ever saw him again. So I have the littlest hobo story, but it was and I'll never forget that dog. It's so funny. I've had lots of dogs, but I'll never forget that one.
Yeah, he was there for a reason and a purpose.
Yeah.
That moment in time. And I often, and still to this day, but as a child, when I always dreamt that I was walking in this grass, and I always had snakes beside me. Snakes would follow me. I'd have snakes on both sides of me, and they would keep pace. And if you look up sort of the spiritual meaning of a snake, they're actually symbols of protection. And much like sort of the medical swath, right, with the snakes, they are symbols of protection. So, and to this day, every once in a while when I'm dreaming, I'll have snakes that are beside me on each side of me as I walk, which I always just, most people are afraid of them, but they are symbols of protection.
So that's funny, because I feel like that's a little, if you look at the biblical ideas of snakes, I find that very interesting that you have taken that perspective to it, but, the serpent doesn't necessarily have a good rapport or a good reputation.
No, but think about, how the stories have been written. And, if you do a little bit of digging, keep an open mind, and sort of do a little bit of research, and you go into Antiquity Unveiled is actually the book I'm referring to, which is channeled information that dates back into, hunter-gatherer ancient history, where they talk about the raven as the symbol of God, right? So, think about the serpent, right? It shows up again as a depiction of lesser energy or of evil. And, people look at them, right? And most times people are afraid of serpents or reptiles, but yet they too have an energy and they resonate at a certain level, and they are symbols of spirit.
And they have a purpose, or they wouldn't be here. The only thing that I don't know that has a purpose is a mosquito. Well, they have a purpose too. They feed bats, but I'm sure bats could eat other things, but.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we do love our mosquitoes. All right.
Very interesting.
Yeah. So Ascended Masters is another group that you need to think about. So Ascended Masters, in many regards, are entities or energies, souls that have actually walked the earth plane. So unlike an archangel who has not necessarily experienced a physical life, Ascended Masters actually have walked the earth plane and have an understanding of what it means to resonate at the human level. So a good example of that would be Buddha. As Spirit has shown me, Mother Teresa, even Princess Diana fall into the group of Ascended Masters, where they walked the earth plane in the spiritual form or energy of a 9, which is one of two things. They're either the good of the one or the good of the whole, and they were born and lived a life for the good of the whole. They dedicated all of their energy and their being, obviously, to humanity and improving humanity. So very typical for mediums, we connect with what I call discarnate souls, or what they call our departed loved ones. So of course, our departed loved ones come and go at periods of time in our lives as we need it, right? So here's an interesting component about, again, setting your intention, asking out loud or in your mind for support if you're going through a difficult time. And your guides and your departed loved ones will come around. So very atypical, come for a mediumship reading, a medium will typically in advance will tell you when you book your appointment to, think about who you'd like to come forward in your reading, and set that intention as the time comes closer for your reading. And they may or may not show up in your reading, but the reality is what comes out during your mediumship reading is relevant to that moment in time and what you need to be aware of and be conscious of. So as an example, it took 10 years before my father showed up in a reading, and he showed up in a reading in a spiritualist church in Ontario, a visiting medium from London, England, and the message was profound. And it was in front of an entire congregation, right? However, if I would have gone to a medium, which I did before that, thinking, I want to communicate with my father, right? Dead air. Wasn't ready. We weren't ready, neither him nor I. However, that message that day in church was the healing message that needed to happen. And it was the right time. Maybe not the right venue. However, it was the right time.
You're always ready, but there's always a divine timing to how they come through, which is an amazing thing. My mom came through in a profound way as well. It changed both of us that were sitting there that day.
Yeah. It certainly brought healing and closure.
Absolutely.
In that moment in time. And that is really one of the relevant messages is, sometimes we struggle on the earth plane in relationship within family or friends or other types of relationships, and we're not able to reconcile or be able to repair those relationships on the earth plane. And, there's an opportunity and there's a gift that comes in mediumship for that sort of energy and information to be exchanged to help sort of heal those wounds and close the doors. And I often will tell people, in terms of going through past life regression therapy, it can be extremely powerful. And I remember having, and still do to this day, have a little bit of a difficult relationship with one of my siblings. And I remember turning to her at one point in time and laughingly saying to her, the issues we're having in this lifetime are not of this lifetime. So let's just get past it and move on, right? Because we're still trying to heal karmic debt from our past lifetimes, because we function in a soul family and on that continuum. And every time we come and go from our physical life, we change sex, we change our position within that soul family. So as an example, in my past life, I was actually my father's father. And my grandfather died literally 1 year and 1 day before I was born, right? And then, of course, in this lifetime, I'm now my father's son, right? So in that, we continue through those kinds of evolutions, and we bring our karmic debt or our karma forward, and we try to heal that. So that's one of the biggest lessons in this lifetime, is to be open to what's happening and non-judgmental, but to be able to absorb it and try to figure out truly what the meaning is, heal that energy, right? Release it, because you don't want to repeat the pattern, and then you get to move on, right? So
it's a very peaceful feeling. It's a peaceful feeling. There is a peace that comes over you, an understanding that comes over you that you can't really describe. You just know it within yourself that this is where you've come to now. So, and nobody can force you there, and nobody can tell you how to get there. You must come to that realization on your own.
Correct. And there is no right or wrong. There's no judgment.
No.
But the reality is, as you awaken and you begin to realize you're repeating patterns of behavior, you're repeating patterns of incidents, and you go, wait a minute, I don't want this in my life anymore. What is it that, and you stop and you go, what is it that I need to do in order to move past this experience? So now you've set intention and you've asked the question. So Spirit's going to engage in that moment in time and begin to help you.
And they do. It comes in as a little blurb. It comes in as It comes in as a little picture frame or a little word or a feeling in the body, and it's very brief. It's not like you're getting the whole picture that's kind of being drawn out to you. Quite often you get it in puzzle pieces as you
Yeah.
move through your day. And if you can understand the symbols as you're moving into, you know, your day and your intention, you'll understand how you can see the things that are coming to you. It's actually fascinating, and it becomes mathematically impossible for it to be a coincidence. So, you know, it becomes science in a sense, and that's how we
Yep.
need to look at it.
Yeah, it's synchronicity for sure. There's no doubt about it. So one of the last groups to think about are what I call helper angels. And these are, I call them freelance angels. They kind of come and go, right? They're kind of there in the moment in time, but they're around, right? At all times, they're there. And it's worth noting that our spirit guides, they actually change as we grow and we mature and life circumstances change. Our spirit guides will change over our lifetime. They are not consistent. And I, early on in my mediumship and psychic career, that was one of the main questions I would get are, who are my guides, right? What is their name? What do they look like, right? And mediums typically will pick up on that and be able to distinguish and tell you the difference between the departed loved ones or discarnate souls that are present in your reading and the angelic realm that also comes forward at that point in time. So now we switch to, well, we talked a lot about signs and symbols before. Now the question is, as an individual, as a human, how do I prepare myself? What do I need to do to raise my vibration so that I can meet my angelic realm or my spirit realm? You have to think about it. We're a body. We're a mind, body, and a soul. I call it a vessel, or spirit refers to it often with me as your vessel. And you have to treat your vessel with dignity, with respect, with integrity, and purity, right? And granted, we are human, right? And we are inundated constantly with lots of stuff. So thinking about how do you prepare yourself, or how do you communicate with your guides, your angels? So, we talked a lot about looking around, your environment, right? Look for signs and symbols, replicating numbers, animals, messages. Pay attention to what your thoughts are in that moment in time, and truly stop and process that. So thinking about other things that you need to do, and this is routine, like meditation, it is routine, right? So every day you sit down and you spend 5 minutes meditating at 4 o'clock in the afternoon in the same place, right? And you have to build that. It's like playing the piano. You're not going to play like Mozart unless you dedicate the time and energy to practice. So there's a couple of things to think about in preparing your physical body, your mental body, your soul body to communicate. So something as simple as have a spiritual journal. Sit down and write every day, right? We often talk about journals, right? And people take time to write. So have a spirit journal. Sit down and write. Maybe you do it before you decide to meditate every day, or you do it after, just to process what you saw, what you thought, what you heard, right? It might be nothing. Like I said earlier on in one of the other shows, when I first started, it was 7 or 9 months. I sat in the same chair in my house at 4 o'clock every day, nothing. My monkey mind would be, work this and that and everything else. And then one day, boom, the doors opened up, and it was just this most incredible experience. And I even took a time where I listened to guided meditation, because I thought I need something to entertain my monkey mind and get off the other subjects of work and what's going on in my physical life. And that helped. That really, really helped to have guided meditation, being able to listen to somebody say, okay, breathe and do this and close your eyes. And now, as soon as I hear a piano, a violin, like anything like that, it's just, I can feel my energy switch, right? Or
something happens in your brain, it switches on, your brain starts to tingle. And I know it sounds very strange, but that is the physical reaction that you get, that something surges and the electromagnetic frequencies fire up. And if you're aware enough of how your body's reacting, you can actually feel it.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. And you'll develop those muscles, I call them. Yeah. You'll develop your gift. And I personally find it very difficult to be in a mall, like to be surrounded by lots of people.
Me too.
Or at an event, because even though I try to shut my senses down, it's still a push and pull, like it's a push and drain of my energy back and forth. And, people will walk past me and I'm like, oh, and the odd time I've done it, I've gone up to them and said, I realize you don't know me and you're going to think I'm absolutely crazy. However, I need to give you a message, right? Because so-and-so is not going to leave me alone unless I convey this to you. And
see, I won't do that. I won't go up to somebody and just a stranger. I don't think they like it very much, to be honest.
Well, I'm going to say that 90+% of the time, it's gone extremely well, and people have been gracious and said thank you. But the odd time I've had somebody look at me and go,
"Get away from me,
whatever, buddy." Like, I'm not sure how much you've had to drink today or whatever, but off you go and get out of my space.
What I do is I actually just give them my card and I say, here, I have a message for you. If you would like to hear it, just give me a call. But I can see them thinking, oh, she's just like peddling or what have you. But that's not the case. I'm not giving people, strangers, my card. That's not what I want to do. So,
and part of what the development practice we had when I was developing and sitting in circle every week, I remember one of our development teachers saying to us to practice and to practice, go to the mall, just sit in the mall, right, and watch people come towards you and see what you pick up off of them. Like, obviously, don't go up to them and go, oh, your aura is
there's
orange
no
today.
Validation in that. You can't get validated by it, but still, you're going to get to know the practice for sure.
Correct. You're going to develop your rapport with spirit, or what I call you're going to develop your dictionary. So preparing yourself. So again, get into that routine, meditation, write a spirit journal, start talking either within your mind, in your mind's eye, your ajna, or out loud, and ask spirit, show me who my guides are. What are my guides' names? And it might show up on a coffee mug. It might, you just have to pay attention, but all of a sudden it's going to click. It's going to click and it'd be like, oh, and then you're going to have a visualization, or you're going to see something and you're going to go, okay, well, that's my guide, right? And then you can begin to talk to them in that sense. So, we talked a little bit about how do you improve your intuition, right? Well, you have to practice, right? So whether that means you just sit quietly and look at somebody and go, okay, so, what am I picking up off this person, right? What do I see? What do I sense? What do I feel around them? So, this is a little bit of a bizarre example, but I remember very early on in my time of development, I was at work one day, had a conversation about this lovely individual who was a supervisor on night shift, and not a lot of people liked her, but she held people to account, and her and I got along because I did my job. And we actually had a conversation that day about her, and I was in the bank that afternoon cashing my paycheck, and long and behold, guess who was behind me? Was Evelyn. And I turned around, and because she said hello to me, and I'm like, Evelyn, how are you? And I kept looking at her and thinking, you're dead. That's all I could see was she's dead. And I kept saying, Evelyn, are you okay? Yes, just got back from Florida, had a great winter, yada, yada, yada. And I remember being horribly upset. And then, of course, it was Friday. We parted ways. I went home, back to work Monday morning. Somebody came into my office and said, you'll never guess who passed away on the weekend. And I went, oh, Evelyn. And they said, yeah. And I instantly called my mentor in that moment in time and said, this is what I saw on Friday. What was I supposed to do with that information? And she very nicely said to me, Paul, nothing, absolutely nothing. It's her moment in time. You could have said to her, off you go to the hospital, and you might have intervened and saved her this moment in time, but you can't change destiny, and it would have happened again. And as a medium, and as we train, we are taught not to instill fear, and we do not diagnose. We are not doctors, right? So it's not a line that you cross. However, as a medium, you will pick up on certain physical ailments and things, and you just have to be careful.
Belt of energy.
Yeah.
I can see a belt of energy around a problem that we need to address. If you're feeling like there's something, address it. But this is where I'm getting it.
Yep. So we just there's ways in which to communicate that type of information to someone so that they can make a decision for themselves how they would like to go about it. But we certainly don't diagnose it. We don't instill fear in people in that sense, right? We're here as a conduit of support and help them along the continuum. So in preparing yourself, so again, some sort of daily or weekly practice, do some reading around, the internet's great, full of information around spirituality, different modalities, but begin to educate yourself. And one of the other pieces, thinking about you're human, right? You need to start thinking about eating properly, living healthy. What does alcohol mean and how does alcohol impact? How does processed and sugar-based foods, right? All of these things weigh your physical body down. So you have to begin to treat your vessel with a little bit of care and purity. So, think about it, regardless of being a medium or wanting to develop your intuition and raise your vibration, we all should be thinking about our overall well-being and our health. And the irony is, there's always that joke that people will hear is, they'll say, oh, you're a medium. And most mediums will respond back and say, well, no, actually, I'm extra large. So
yes.
The comedy joke behind that is thinking about being a professional medium. Mediums typically do not eat, right? Because they don't want to weigh their physical bodies down and have their systems processing food before they go into doing readings. So they don't eat. But when you come out of a reading, or a medium comes out of a reading and finishes the reading, you can imagine the energy, right? Because they've raised their vibration and they've been at this higher level. So I've never done drugs. I'm not judging, but I've never done them. But that's how I analogize it, right? You're flying so high. And the first thing you want to do when you come out of that experience, and I used to do readings back to back, 10 a day sometimes, was to eat. And I didn't want anything healthy. I wanted chocolate, I wanted sugar, I wanted processed foods because I needed to come down from this really, really beautiful euphoric high. And that's what people do. So the irony is, the joke is, oh, you're a medium. No, actually, you're extra large. And what you'll notice sometimes is a lot of mediums are potentially a little bit on the heavier side of the equation. And that's potentially why. Moral of the story, though, is you prepare your vessel, right? And you want to raise your vibration and learn how to communicate. You really need to think about the impact of your lifestyle. So sleep, food, exercise, all of those things that regardless of, I want to be a medium and raise my vibration, we as humans need to be a little bit more cognizant of how we impact our vessel, that our soul is in the earth plane in that sense. And of course, like I said, always set your intentions, ask questions, whether you do it out loud, whether you do it in your mind, and then just be open to receive, right? And it might come as clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient. You might be sitting at your desk or go to visit somebody in the office and they've got this coffee mug and it's like they've got words on it or they've got a picture on it and you're drawn to it. Well, you're drawn to it for a reason. So again, stop. Right? You set an intention, you asked a question. Now look and think about, okay, well, that coffee mug has a wolf on it. Okay, well, there you go.
It's truly about being conscious of your surroundings. Try not to miss much.
Right.
Yep.
That's really what it's about. Don't miss much.
Right.
No,
and
don't miss
that's
much.
really what consciousness is.
Right.
Okay.
And it's interesting, Paul, because you said you'll get a download of information. I can remember one specific time where I kept asking, why did this happen? And I meant like I kept asking because I didn't understand it. It just didn't make sense how something horrific had happened with all different people playing a part into the situation. And finally, I was just downloaded with this deep understanding, and all the answers were given to me of how it happened. And it was just incredible. Like I couldn't have come up with these answers or knowing how this had happened. And it was just like, bam, it just came right through me too. And I remember when my husband came home from work, and I explained to him, this is what happened. And he goes, well, you don't know that. But then he started thinking about it, and just, yeah, that would be possible, because he wasn't even aware that what had happened, but he didn't know, or he never shared certain things with me. And so therefore that was the proof right there. That
it gave you a clearing then, didn't it? It gave you a clearing to be able to just, okay, this is really what it is. This is, as long as you know what you're dealing with, you can handle anything.
That's it. Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Yeah. So thinking about, just taking 5 minutes a day to meditate, maybe having one less cup of coffee, whatever that is just one small change in your normal behavior and routine, and that will begin to help you raise your vibration, right? Slowly and surely go for a walk, listen to some music. There's all kinds of things, but we are busy creatures, and I don't know, there seems to be some unwritten rule somewhere about the busier you are, the more successful you are, or the greater award or bigger award you're going to get. And sometimes I question the treadmill that we're all on, the true value of it, because
I'm more about work smart, not hard.
Yeah, life's about experiences, and that's the interesting part, is we all have a choice, and we all have freedom to make those decisions. So choose wisely, choose love, choose independence, choose creativity, choose to laugh and have joy in your life, because life is short and all you take with you is your experiences. So I always say to people, make the most of every moment. And people often say to me, well, good morning, how are you today? And I said, I'm great. And, it's another day in paradise. And
100%.
People think I'm being sarcastic, and I love that, right? Especially at work. How are you today? Another day in paradise. And they think, oh boy, he's in a bad mood today. And I'm like, and the odd person will ask, well, what do you mean by that? And I'll turn to them and say, think about the alternative. We have first world problems. I left a house, got into a car, parked my car in the garage. I could live in a beautiful office. I said, I've got first world problems, a fridge full of food. I said, this is another day in paradise.
Right.
Like,
very true.
I want people to stop and truly process and think about it. Right? What are you missing in your life that you think it's so bad?
Yeah, absolutely. And to have a little bit of faith that everything is going to be okay come next month and the month after that. If you can be in the faith of that, it will just flow into that.
And whatever it is, you accept it and integrate it and process it, because ultimately it's for your highest and your best.
So that actually kind of leads us to, all three of us are going to do a Tuesday night spirit Q&A, live Q&A. Come and ask us your questions. And we're going to be on there Tuesday night, 24th at 8:00. And I think this is really exciting. What about you guys? Are you excited about doing this for everybody?
Very much.
Looking forward to it. I think this will be a great opportunity to engage with people and answer questions, whether they be in direct relation to spirit and how to communicate, or other things that we've talked about, or maybe it's just a simple message. They've got a question and they're looking for some support and guidance from the spirit world.
So just a cue, it will be live, and you can come on audio or you can come on video. It's totally up to you. But, just be careful of the questions we ask, just because we're going to air the session as well. So, and it is going to be live for everybody to watch. So I'm so excited. I'm preparing it now. Go ahead, Heather. What's your card today?
Yeah. So the card today is trusting your intuition. My life is truly guided. So, woohoo, there we go.
We were guided to do this on Tuesday night. We were guided to do question and answer, and try and make this a regular and occurring every single week. I think it's important.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, it is.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Good. So, Paul, any closing statements? Anything you'd like to say?
Yeah. So as we close off today, I actually chose a couple of cards. So I chose the Angel of Freedom, and I wove that a little bit into our talk today. So the Angel of Freedom, when she appears, she's always about free choice, love, independence, and creativity. So thinking about, your day, and what you make of it and what you do with your time and your energy supports the raise in your vibration. And it's the foundation of all that you are, all that you do, and all that you say comes from a place of integrity at all times. So know that as you go forward today, this is about raising your vibration, operating with integrity, and the angel of freedom walks with you and denotes your choice to choose love, independence, and creativity.
Beautiful.
And on that note, it's funny, just before we came on, I was up early this morning and created a beautiful thumbnail for this video as we spoke this morning. So that was my creative morning.
Beautiful.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, be well. Big hugs,
Good.
big love.
Yes.
Be well. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you know when we're going live.
Yep. Sounds good. Bye, everybody.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
Thank you.
Be safe.
Bye.
Bye-bye.